we just heard about concerning the endangered species of plants and those other things, and determine whether we need to go more in depth and determine as to where we get the data from and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. I have my notes on
Okay.
that, and I think I can accomplish that.
Okay.
And we could do that without having to open up the public hearing.
Right.
I think we could address that.
Right.
I've got the transportation comment.
Yes.
Despite our best efforts, there is one typographic error, so we'll get that fixed and make the correct map reference for 4 lanes.
Okay. And in reference to what was said, I'm assuming that we're still looking at a bypass or certainly some connector roads around the intersection of Route 1 and 639 or Lady Smith Road and Route 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think those comments need to be addressed. And what I would ask the board, if we would postpone a vote on this issue until Mr. Seeley's had an opportunity to have his issues cleared up, as well as some of the comments that were made. We can incorporate those in, which are not going to be substantial changes and would not require another public hearing, unless what Mr. Popovich has asked about, and that is the public overlay district, as to whether that's going to require a public hearing. If that's going to be considered, that wouldn't. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. I can have my comments. I'll make it a point to get with Mr. Seeley prior to the next board meeting, and I guess January 12th.
Right.
So I can have all these comments back to the board prior to that meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion to defer action on the comprehensive plan until the meeting of January 12th? So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Popowitz, that we defer action on the comprehensive, the 2030 comprehensive plan. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay, and the motion is carried. The next public hearing is RZ-04-2009, Davis, Norman Lee Davis, Carawan Young, owner. Mr. Fincham.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, your next public hearing is RZ-04-2009. The applicant is requesting a proffer amendment, which is technically a rezoning, from B1 business with conditions, again, the B1 business with conditions, to modify proffers associated with a previous rezoning application, RZ 18-98. The applicant is requesting a proffer amendment to add 2 uses under that were previously eliminated under the proffers with RZ 18-98. They're requesting an amendment to allow the addition of hotels and motels and restaurants as permitted uses on this property. The Planning Commission did review this application and forwarded this recommendation of approval to the board at its November 19th meeting. As previously stated, the property was rezoned B1 business back in 1999 with those previous conditions, which were designed to limit the intensity and impacts of the B1 zoning at that time. And with that, I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Question to Mr. Fincham. Mr. Popowitz?
No, I think I'll hold comment.
Mr. Thomas?
None.
Mr. Seeley?
None at this time.
Mr. Rozelle? Thank you, Mr. Fincham. We will now declare the public hearing open for RZ-04-2009. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on this issue, either in favor of or in opposition to this proffer amendment change or rezoning request? Please come forward and
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board.
good evening.
My name is J.D. Young, and I'm the owner of the property that we're here to talk about. I had a short presentation to show to you, but at this point I'll just being that we're limited on time, I'll just make the presentation
Sure.
what I have here. Short executive summary of based upon what we have is called Caroline Hospitality LLC, and it was founded in 2009 by and we're the basic reason to that it was founded was basically to put a hotel and restaurant in this particular location. Caroline Hospitality, the members are entrepreneurs who have over 40 years of experience in this. Our market and business areas would be the main sectors, which would penetrate the government personnel, business travelers, families, and visitors of the local sports events, and the people in the local areas within a 30-mile radius. The core product offerings. The product we chose is a microtel hotel, which is part of the Wyndham Group, and is rated as the highest in guest satisfaction among the economy budget hotel chains 8 years in a row by J.D. Powers and Associates. The market target is the following: government personnel for training at Fort A.P. Hill, business people visiting the local offices of the companies and business complexes in the area, visitors of local baseball training facility camp, which is Virginia Sports Complex, which is right next door, visitors of local Kings Dominion Amusement Park, the local State Fair, and NASCAR, which is our in the Richmond area. We have a lot of spillover into the county when those events are in attendance. We would offer a brand new hotel with high quality of consistency throughout the United States. And that supersedes the local competitors of conversion hotels, which would be our competitors here in the county. Revenues forecasting for the first year of operation is roughly around about $1.2 million, and with about a 6 to 7% increase in the subsequent 2 years following. The net profits of that would be somewhere around 35%. Our management team of Caroline Hospitality is a new company that's set up by J.D. Young and Grace Young, who is my wife, and we both have over 40 years experience combined to be able to run this hotel. Caroline Hospitality also will hire, and this is part of one of Wyndham's requirements, we would hire a management company to come in immediately to set up the operation, to run it, and then turn it over to us after about a year's time, once all of our people would be trained and put in place. And this is set up so that it's a success rate more so than a fail rate. The directors will invest approximately about $300,000 into this project, and that's estimated to be paid back within 2-year time period. The demand for the hotel on Route 1 in Golensville was established based upon a series of feasibility and market studies conducted by Caroline Hospitality, with contribution from the economic county director also. The studies indicated that the success of the hotel would be significantly enhanced for the need of the executive hotel to support the growing population of TDY at Fort A.P. Hill. There was a letter generated that Fort A.P. Hill has no military lodging, and it's further stated that based upon the average nights for the TDY individuals, they would require about 11,300 rooms per year. That cuts it down. That's based upon about 40% of what this hotel would be right off the top. Also, next door to the property, to the proposed site, is the Virginia Sports Complex, which, of course, you're all familiar with that. What they do there, train the youth, and they is estimated about 200,000 people per season that would frequent that establishment. Also, most of the individuals that doing the survey, we were able to determine that a lot of individuals that frequent that location either stayed in the Fredericksburg area and or the Richmond-Ashland area, and we're trying to generate that business to be back here in Caroline County. We chose a strategic location because of the type of clients that we would be looking towards, to be marketing towards, and also because of the Lady Smith growth area. Also with the hotel, it's not dependent upon the interstate traffic based upon the type of hotel this is. It's generated basically by website and also the aggressive marketing strategy that we would have to go after specific clients. The potential clients that we're going after that we look forward to working with us would be Fort AP Hill, the Virginia Sports Complex, Kings Dominion, the Virginia State Fair, the Caroline County Fair, Richmond Raceway, Caroline Tourism, the executives and employees of the local businesses, also the interstate travelers, family and friends of Caroline residents, and then also the reservations lines from the Wyndham Hotel Group. With that being said, the hotel will be sitting on about a 1.5 acre lot. It's going to be about 83. It'll be 83 guest rooms, with hopefully a future expansion of about 25 if once we are able to reach those numbers. The guest rooms are also ADA standard. We have quite a few rooms. The suites and the rooms and doubles and the singles would be ADA qualified. The exterior of the building will be hardy plank with stone, aesthetically correct and very eye-appealing to the community. The interiors all brand new, sustainable, with the new green products and different things of that nature. Let me move down a little further. We will also have guest rooms that would be available for meetings, meeting rooms, training rooms, and also for executive training rooms. We'll also have fitness centers inside of the hotel. Microtel, some of the things that Microtel provides is the highest quality at the lowest price. Again, Microtel, this particular line is a brand new facility. It's not a conversion. So wherever you go in the United States, you always guaranteed to be staying in the same type of hotel with upgrades once, I think the upgrades would be like every 6 to 7 years. And everybody that buys into this would have to abide by those rules. Also, the curb appeal is superior to any other segment product. The ease of operation and safety and security provides 100% of interior corridors. You don't drive up to it and walk into a room. Everything is inside. It would be located inside all your room entrances. You have electronic locks on all doors. The best rates are available. They fall within the rates of this hotel would fall right within the per diem that Fort AP Hill has also set aside. Uniform standards across all properties. So wherever you see a Microtel hotel, you would expect the same consistency throughout. Single after hours entrance. You don't have entrances that individuals can enter from all over the place. You would have to enter through the lobby area. Superior lighting inside and outside of the property for safety and security issues. Also with the Wyndham, one of the standards of the Wyndham Group would be that we just don't build this project and then turn around and sell it in a year or two. It's a commitment, and my wife and I, we're successful developers in the Petersburg area, and we would also develop and own this hotel and run it ourselves. The benefits of Wyndham, of Microtel, you earn 1 free night for every 9 nights you stay, and that can be in anywhere. If you stay with Wyndham here or go to another county and somewhere else, and you can transfer those with no out-of-pocket cost. And that can be, like I say, any Wyndham in the world. Members can redeem free nights. It doesn't cost anything to join. You have free telephone, free wireless, free cable, free long-distance calls, local calls. And then we have also a continental breakfast called Get Up and Joe. So with that, I'm open to answer any questions. If there are any concerns about this particular project, I'm more than happy to be able to speak with any and everyone individually or collectively about the more in detail prospects of this project.
Okay. Thank you. JD, we'll see if there's any other comments, and we'll bring you back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this proffer amendment or rezoning request? Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this rezoning request or proffer amendment? Seeing and hearing no further comment, the public hearing will be declared closed. Does the board have any questions, comments of staff or of the applicant? Mr. Popowitz?
Yes, I do. Mr. Young, if you I have a couple questions for you.
I believe it's questions of Mr. Young right now, Mr. Fincham.
Yeah, you said you and your wife had an investment of $300,000 in this facility.
Yes.
This is almost 12,000 square foot facility. Are there other investors in this, or what's the deal with this?
Only our children, yes.
Only your children?
Yes.
Okay, so there's other investors that are involved with this?
Correct.
Okay. What's the total cost of this project? What's going to be the total investment in the county?
This project will, including with the sewer and water lines, we're looking right around $4 million.
$4 million?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And having a little bit of knowledge about this, have you secured your loans already for this facility and all that stuff?
Financing is on hold at this point based upon the approval of the project, of the rezoning.
Is that something, can you provide that to staff, at least a letter or something from a bank, a letter of?
I mean, it has not been approved or anything, but we have spoken with lenders that are willing to move forward, but they're waiting on us to get numbers back also based upon the approval of the rezoning.
Okay, because I think you probably get a preliminary approval from most of these guys saying, yeah, we would lend the money if these conditions were met. If you could get something like that to staff, I'd feel a little bit better about this project. So,
okay.
And not that I have a problem with the project, just that, you know, those things are concerns when you're talking about a large facility going in.
And I certainly respect that and understand that. One of the major reasons that we decided to go to put the project here is because based upon there is no cost of the land. Okay. The land would be of major significance to the project. So that helps out tremendously. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. That's all the questions I had.
Mr. Thomas?
No, I don't think I have any.
Mr. Seeley?
Yes, sir. I guess my concern is that we have two organizations looking to put a hotel near the town of Bowling Green, and neither can secure financing, even with letters from the base looking at occupancy and guaranteeing it. So I guess I know what's in play in and around the town of Bowling Green, and I hear part of your business plan is to actually rely on AP Hill stays as being 40%. Were you aware that there was going to be competition?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the financing, again, Wyndham has already provided us with over 20-some different financing of agencies that are ready to move forward. Yes.
I guess I'm in the same vein with Mr. Popowitz. I'd like to see some sort of a guarantee, because in this climate, what I have seen with all of these big projects is that no lending institutions are really leaning towards doing that. And with that in play, I'm just a little reluctant. I'd hate to see us start down a path. I guess my other question is that you were talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. Is that the value of the land that you're actually putting up to put this on?
No, that's not the value of the land. The land was not included in that. That was just personal assets. But my wife is here. She's more financially.
The finances are my lane. One of the reasons we've been looking at building a hotel probably for the last year and a half on the property, and we talked to many different franchise organizations. And one of the reasons we chose Microtel is that they are currently the only hotel in this market that is being financed. Due to the current market and the current economic environment, most hotels are not being financed at all, period. So when you start talking to individuals about building a hotel, you usually fall on deaf ears. So if we were to go to the local banks, we would definitely receive a turn down. Microtel, because they have a turnkey package, has already secured the lending. It also is one of the few hotels that it qualifies for SBA financing. So would we be able to get an approval letter today if we go to our local bank? Probably not, but we do have a turnkey package. We would like to have the zoning taken care of. You know, every step we go through, of course, starts costing money. And so it's going to cost us a lot of money to get the franchise agreement in place, to get the zoning approved. So we can get a letter, but will we have someone to say, yes, it's guaranteed in this marketplace? Absolutely not. But we can provide you documentation to show you that microtels across the country is the one hotel that is still currently being financed. Absolutely. And our total investment as far as out-of-pocket, whether it is our personal cash or whether we bring in outside investors, it's about 20% of the total cost of the project.
Okay. Other questions?
I'm okay for right now.
Mr. Rozelle?
Thank you. Good to see you.
Well, Mr. Fincham, back in 1999, the property was zoned business. It was rezoned in 1999.
Yes, sir. February of 1999, the property was Zone B1. There was a significant reduction in the number of permitted uses. You have the B1 zoning with all the by right uses and uses by SE. I believe that zoning limited the use of the property basically to like 6 uses. Office, I think automobile dealership was one, perhaps some retail stores was one. I do recall that they had proffered out storage facilities or had modified that request. We had, I believe, proffered out service stations, auto repair, and other similar uses. So the number of uses was significantly reduced on that site.
Okay. Now, I guess my biggest question is probably the comprehensive plan in the Ladysmith sub-area. It would fall in the Ladysmith sub-area, or is it?
Not currently.
The boundaries move?
Yes, sir.
Explain to me how that's going.
I believe the plan in effect at the time of the original zoning application was the 1994 to 2004 plan. At that time, and I think Mr. Akers can correct me if I make a misstatement. At that time, this area, I believe, was included in the comprehensive plan, and I believe, based upon my review of the previous staff reports, this area was actually designated for low-density residential. Since that time, you have had 2 Ladysmith area planning processes and the resulting comprehensive plan updates to incorporate those plans. The boundary of the we eliminated the large Bowling Green to Ladysmith to Carmel Church primary growth area and went to the sub-area planning process. As a part of that sub-area planning process, the boundary line for the Ladysmith area plan was moved north of this site to Route 601, which is Golensville Road, I believe, east of Route 1, and Cedar Fork Road to the west of Route 1. So the property was in the primary growth area back in 1998 when it was originally zoned, but currently is not in the growth area, but adjacent to the southern boundary.
Okay, that's my major question. Thanks.
And just a point for the record, Mr. Young's presentation was included in
Yes,
the
we
packet.
have that.
So
We have that. I don't have any questions of staff or of Mr. Young. I just certainly have some comments. And I guess my concern, it's really not the financing area. If J.D. and his wife can get the financing, that's one thing, and that's something they have to be concerned about. I guess my major concern is the integrity of our comp plan. And we've heard many comments, or we had not many, but several comments tonight that certainly encourage the board to maintain the integrity of the comp plan in any step we go. I have several concerns. Number one, I was on the board in 1999 when we approved the B1 and Mr. Young unit. We worked together on that rezoning request. But I voted in favor of it because you were willing to limit and restrict the types of businesses and that they were not so intense, if you will. I think the major thing we talked about, and it's even, I believe, in your application originally in 1999, was that it was to be used for a car wash, and that's what we talked about. That was not a high-density type of operation. Moving that into a hotel, motel, restaurant type of facility or operation certainly intensifies the use of that property. And I voted for it because I felt like I was being able to limit, based on the proffers that you, Mr. Young, submitted to this board, and this board accepted in good faith, as you submitted them in good faith, that I was able to limit as to what happened in that area. Goldsville, as we all know, is a small crossroads. There's nothing major going on in Goldsville that's going to attract at this point, other than the sports authority, or the sports complex rather, a great deal of tourism for the county. So my concern are twofold. Number one, I believe it's important that we protect the integrity of the comp plan, and it is now not in the primary growth area. Number two, I think it's important that we protect the integrity of our proffer system, which if we start amending the proffers that is being requested, I do believe that we're starting to poke holes into the proffer system, which I don't believe is good for the county as a whole. And thirdly is the fact that my concern is what happens if you build this hotel and in 5 years they don't come as you would hope they would come. I know, for instance, there are probably 7 or 8 motels at Carmel Church. I can assure you, any night of the week, any day of the year, you can go to Carmel Church and get a hotel room. They're not filled every night. And there are vacancies at the Carmel Church area every night. I have a question as to whether people are going to drive 5 miles off of 95 to come to this particular hotel. I do know that there was a microtel in Ashland, which is a town that didn't make it evidently because they sold out to Howard Johnson's. And I can drive by, and I do every morning, drive by Howard Johnson's, and I can assure you they would love to have more customers than what they're having now. I do not want that area to become an eyesore for Caroline County. And my concern, and I know, J.D., you would put everything into it as far as trying to make it the best looking hotel in the area, and I understand that completely. But what happens if the people don't come? You cannot continue to operate that motel or hotel if you don't have revenue coming in. And then the windows are boarded up, the doors are closed, the grass grows up through the parking lot, and it becomes a terrible eyesore for that Route 1 corridor. And we have spent many, many years in trying to clean up that Route 1 corridor to make it the very best that it can be. So my concerns is the fact that, number one, yes, I voted to approve the rezoning back in 1999, but it was something much less than what you're asking for tonight. And I supported it in 99. I cannot support it tonight because we're changing the game rules completely as to what we are wanting to put on the site. I believe there've got to be major, if you get the people that you're hoping to get to make this operation work and to make this endeavor profitable to you and your family, you certainly have to do some road work. I mean, you cannot get all those cars coming onto Cedar Fork Road which is a small, narrow, two-lane road, and I guess you would have an interest on to 601 Cedar Fork Road. I guess the state would require you to do that, as well as Route 1. And there would be major road work to be done there. My other concern is the fact that I think you would have to bring the sewer from near 95. It would have to come from near 95 down up to your location. And are you opening up more land that could be developed, which is not in the comp plan to be developed? So with those things being said, I have major concerns about what we're trying to do. I think we have to look at what's best for Caroline County, not just today. Now, I know it's easy for this board to say, well, it'll give us hookups for availability fees and things of that nature. I understand that completely. And it's easy for us to look at that and say, hey, it will put more money into a utility fund account. But I do believe we need to look at the long term, what's going to be best for Caroline County in the years to come, and not look at it from a very short-sighted position. Again, I think there are just too many issues for us to deal with this this proffer amendment to allow hotels and restaurants on this parcel of land. That's my comment, and the board wants to delay action on this motion. If you want to vote in favor of, or whatever the board has, the way the board wants to handle it, the chair is open to any motion.
I think I'd like to delay it because I do have some questions about the financing and other things, and maybe some of your questions and comments could also be answered by Mr. Young and staff, and possibly take another look at this.
Okay. Is that a motion to defer action?
I will make a motion to defer action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Popowitz, second by Mr. Seeler, that we defer action until what?
That was my question. You want to defer?
First meeting in February. Give us all an opportunity over the holiday season to get.
Yes.
What is the first meeting in February? February. Second Tuesday. Night. All right. February 9th.
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
All right. You've heard the motion. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The motion's carried. Thank you. All right. Under new business, review of 2010 Regional Legislative Program.
Excuse me 1 second.
Who's handling that? That's right. Don't see Eldon.
No Eldon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you have the regional legislative program that was submitted by Eldon James, and he is seeking board input into this, whether you have anything to add to it or problems with any of the issues identified, and would like to get comments back as soon as possible in advance of the General Assembly session in January.
Let me share with the board. I was at the meeting, the Region 7 meeting, where these changes were discussed. I think that one of the thinking processes behind taking out the equal taxing authority is the fact that we've had that in there for many years. The General Assembly at this point is probably not going to do anything that's going to give us equal taxing authority. I think that if we want to go after one thing, it may be that we go to them and ask to be given the authority to implement a cigarette tax or something along those lines, such as the towns and cities are able to implement now. But it's just to say equal taxing authority. Some of the thought process was, and to be honest with you, it is my thought process as well, is the fact you may be careful what you ask for. You may get it, but along with equal taxing authority, you may get some of the other things that come along with additional revenue. You may get the additional requirements and short changes. So was one of the issues. The other issue had to do with yeah, the annexation issue was, and that came from this board some years ago, because if members, and I'm not sure, I think Mr. Thomas was on the board at the time, the county and the town of Bowling Green had reached an agreement, whereas we shook hands, we agreed that we would have a amenable and agreeable boundary adjustment. And whereas they would allow us to get the revenue from the shopping center and things of that nature for a certain length of time. And then the Commission on Local Government came in and said, no, that's not going to work. We don't feel like that's being fair to the town. And so then the town and the county had to sort of have a side agreement where they paid us back for so many years from tax revenues they received from the town, from the shopping center. So the thought process was, let's try to get the local government commission out of the business of counties and towns when they are real, or cities too, when they are willing to cooperate and work together. Again, that hasn't gone anywhere with the General Assembly. So what we have changed this to is to limit the ability of local government, commission on local government. Whereas if we have a negotiated agreement, they will just basically sign off on it and not try to get involved and say, no, you've done a good job or you've done a bad job. So again, the initial wording was that eliminate the commission on local government, and this is more or less just saying, hey, let's just limit their abilities to deal with counties and towns and cities that have reached an agreement among themselves. So those are the two changes in the Region 7 legislative priorities, and I think they make sense, to be honest with you. Are there any other questions? Issues? All right, is there a motion to approve this 2010 legislative priority issue or list, which Eldon James will take with him to Richmond when he goes, and he'll be lobbying on behalf of Caroline County as he is the other counties in Region 7?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Rozelle, seconded by Mr. Seeley. Discussion on the motion. All in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay, and the motion is carried. Informational calendar items, capital project updates.
Mr. Chairman, that's a regular update for the board, just to follow the progress of some of the remaining capital items that are still on your calendar. I don't know if there's any questions regarding them or the spending plan as they are.
My only question, I'm not sure if the other board members have questions or not, but if you would, my only question is concerning the school renovations and the Lewis and Clark School. Now, the board has talked in terms of going out and getting $10 million through the stimulus program for the schools. Right. For the high school.
Caroline High School.
Now, my question is, I know that the schools have indicated they were going to spend some of this $800,000 that's left over from the school renovations. Because they spent $41,000. Has that come out of this number already? They
Yes.
had.
Ms. Hatcher.
So that's not in the 819.
Yeah. Yeah, they had
Okay.
they had eight.
But they were also going to do, we asked them to look at doing the actual construction, which was $35,000 or something along those lines.
The utilities,
Yeah.
utility repairs, yes.
Utility,
That was already a project that you all approved that was in the, above the 819. They'd already approved, in the revised list you all did in November, had 78,000 for the Bowling Green Annex sewer line.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, they came and asked us, was that just to waive the fees, or was that permission for the whole project? Because now I'm confused, because
think
we
it was
gave them approval to go ahead with the project,
no,
and we
didn't.
would discuss the fees at some other point in time.
That's correct. After they were able to see if there was some money left over, and I think that's what we're trying to determine now.
availability fees or